to Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. This game is an action-packed adventure RPG filled with intense combat and plenty of fun banter between friends. Today, we're diving into one of the many exciting classes this game has to offer, the Ranger. We'll explore how it works and what makes it such a fun class to play. But before we jump into the specifics of the Ranger, let's take a moment to go over some of the basics of the game so you can get a better feel for how everything fits together. Then we'll get into the heart of the Ranger class and why it's a perfect choice for both solo players and those in a party. Settings at the top. Here's where all your essential tools are neatly organized, ready for easy access. Your character sheet, codex, quest journal, and macros all live right here. Let's dive into each one so you'll know exactly why they're key to your adventure and how they'll help you succeed. Character sheet. Think of your character sheet as a digital paper doll, bringing your character to life. It shows where your armor fits, what weapons you've got equipped, and what's stashed away in your inventory. You'll also find your resistances here, though they won't come into play until you start wielding magical items. And of course, it tracks your skills in just about everything, giving you a clear picture of your growth as you progress. Crafting tab. Right after your character sheet, you'll find the Gathering Professions tab, your gateway to collecting anything and everything in this world. The game hands you the tools you need to gather, and you can slot them right into your character to get started. Your gathering skills are also tracked here, so you'll see your progress as you go. Once you've made it to town, head over to the well and speak with Foreman Aldeus. He's the one who will hook you up with your crafting tools. Simply right-click them in your inventory, and they'll automatically equip your crafting tab. Hunger and thirst. In this game, keeping your hunger and thirst in check is crucial to survival. The easiest way to stay fed and hydrated is by consuming the food and water you start with. But don't worry, you can always buy more or even craft your own by becoming a cook. As you level up your cooking skills, some of the meals you prepare can grant you small buffs or bonuses, giving you an extra edge on your journey. Codex. The Codex is your personal spellbook, a treasure trove of every spell you've unlocked on your journey. In this game, you have 3 distinct spell bars, each serving a different purpose. The largest bar is dedicated to your primary attacks, while the second largest handles your main defense and utility spells. The smallest bar? That's for your abilities with readiness, those special moves that only become available once you've been in combat for a while. As you battle, you'll fill this bar and then spend it on these powerful abilities. Your character will have access to a wide range of spells and abilities, but keep in mind, you'll be capped at 4, 6, or 8 depending on your setup, with auto attack always at the ready. Questing. Questing in this game takes a bit of a different approach compared to others. In this world, quests aren't the driving force. They're more of an optional side activity. You can head into town, take on tasks to help out the locals, and while you'll earn a reward, it's usually nothing groundbreaking. In fact, you could get similar rewards just by slaying monsters. The real benefit of questing comes from building your reputation with specific NPCs, which can earn you small bonuses over time. So, while quests aren't essential, they're a nice way to boost your standing in the world. Resting. Resting is a vital part of your journey in this game. The default keybind is X, but feel free to reassign it to whatever key is easiest for you to reach. After most battles, you'll want to take a rest. It's the quickest way to speed up your health and mana regeneration. Plus, it helps your stamina recover faster, ensuring you're ready for the next fight. Just keep in mind, resting won't help with hunger or thirst. That's handled separately. If your class is mana heavy, you'll need to rest more often to get your mana back. The same goes for classes that take a lot of damage. Resting is essential for you too. As for the Ranger class, when you're in a party, your main focus should be keeping your readiness bar in check while your teammates cover the rest. Ranger class. Now that you've got the basics down, let's dive into the Ranger class and how to master it. You'll start just outside of town, and there are 2 key characters you'll want to get familiar with early on. First up, there's the Outrider, your go-to for learning new abilities. This is where you'll buy scrolls and use them to unlock your next skill. Then, there's Selden, who will grant you passive bonuses every 5 levels. These passives are a way to keep your character on track as you level up, giving you valuable attribute boosts. Once you've visited these 2, you're free to head into town. Or if you're itching for some action, follow the road outside of town to hunt down monsters. If you're looking for a shortcut, head back to the Outrider and take the path off the ledge to your right. Don't worry too much about fall damage. It's almost non-existent, so go ahead and take the plunge. Abilities. First things first, Make sure to open your codex and right-click all of your spells so they appear on your bars. They'll automatically be placed in the right spots, but feel free to rearrange them however you like. Now let's talk about your abilities. The bottom bar has 8 slots, but keep in mind, your character will have more abilities than space on your bar, so you'll need to pick and choose what best suits your playstyle. I'll show you how I've set up my bars as an example, but feel free to customize yours to fit your needs. My first button is Swift Shot. While it does a bit of damage, I mainly use it to build up my momentum, which I'll use with other abilities. More on that in a moment. Next, I have Fractal Arrow. This ability applies a bleed dot, damage over time, to the enemy, which works really well when you're up close in melee. After that is Rip, which is an upgrade to Fray. It performs 2 quick melee attacks in succession. Button 4 is Engage, because I find myself needing to get closer to enemies more often than I need to disengage. Next up is Aim to Kill, a ranged ability that shoots 3 arrows, each dealing good damage. The damage, however, is based on how much HP the monster has left, so it's great for finishing off enemies. The last 2 abilities I use on this bar are Stun and Interrupt. My bear will stun the enemy for 5 seconds, and Interrupt does damage but is mainly used to prevent the enemy from casting spells. Finally, I've placed a minor healing ability at the end of my bar. It's simple but effective for small recovery. Now let's move to the Readiness bar, which has 4 slots. I've chosen True Shot, a high damage ability that rarely misses. Next is Bramble Shot, which takes advantage of the opening gap state if the enemy has it applied. After that is Expose, which causes the exposed state on the enemy, leaving them vulnerable. Finally, I have Survival Strike, a hard-hitting melee ability. For my final bar, the Healing and Utility bar, here's what I've set up. The first ability is Forage, which lets me find ranger-specific items like food and water, flint powder, Brightfire sap, Moonrose petals, and trap parts. These items will be useful for the next abilities I'll go over. Moonrose Balm helps with passive regeneration, while Brightfire sap applies fire to your weapon, making it easier to see at night. I've placed tracking after that. Don't worry, I'll explain more about how tracking works in just a bit. The second to last ability is Trap, which snares enemies to slow them down so they can't escape to their friends. And last but not least is Flare, which places a torch wherever you want on the ground, lighting your surroundings. That's how I've set up my abilities. But remember, your ranger can have any combination that works for your team or playstyle. The choice is yours. For tracking. When you first open the tracking menu, it might seem a bit overwhelming, but don't worry. It's actually pretty simple once you know where to look. The key parts you'll focus on are at the bottom of the screen. You get 2 filters to customize your search. The first filter is for tracking players. If you want to meet up with friends in the area, this will help you find them easily. Alternatively, you can turn off player tracking and focus solely on monsters. The second filter lets you choose what type of creature you want to track, anything from animals, plants, and insects to fae and more. Once you've set your preferences, you'll get a list of all the creatures that fit your filter. The color coding tells you how tough the creature is to fight. Red means the creature is probably too strong for you. You might want to steer clear of these, while gray indicates an easy target that won't drop anything useful. Look for monsters that are dark blue to you. These are great because they're worth good XP. They're lower level than you, and you should be able to defeat them with ease. Once you've chosen what you want to track, click on the creature and hit track. Keep the tracking window open for it to work properly. In the bottom left text box, you'll start seeing directions in white text like, "The rat is to your left." Follow these cues and continue heading in the direction it suggests until you find the creature you're tracking. How to be effective. To truly excel as a ranger, you'll need to embrace a playstyle that's unique to the class. Rangers are one of the few, if not the only classes, that require you to be effective in both ranged and melee combat. You'll want to start fights with your bow, using your ranged abilities to weaken or chip away at your enemies from afar. But as the monster closes the gap, you'll need to seamlessly switch to hand-to-hand combat to finish the job. It's essential to level up both your ranged and melee skills. Don't neglect either one, as both will play a key role in your effectiveness. If you're in a group with other players, you can amplify your impact by moving in and out of combat, mixing your abilities based on cooldowns. This keeps you active and involved throughout the fight, rather than waiting on abilities to refresh. For example, once you've built up your readiness bar to 2 charges, you can use 1000 readiness for Survival Shot, then quickly move in to use the remaining 1000 on Survival Strike. As you level up, you'll unlock more abilities to weave into your combos, allowing for even more dynamic and powerful attacks. Conclusion. If you ever need to log out quickly and don't want to wait, simply hold Control and press the exit button. This will instantly log you out without the usual 30-second wait. However, be mindful that this is not a way to combat log. If you're in the middle of a fight, you can't just log out to escape death. Even if you skip the wait time, your character will still be standing where you left them when you log back in. If you log out during combat, you'll return to find your character dead, exactly where you were last fighting. So, always make sure you finish any combat and move to a safe location before logging out. Okay, that's everything you need to know to get started in this world. If you choose to play as a ranger, you now have a better understanding of how to play your character effectively, whether you're flying solo or part of a party. I'll leave a link in the description for a guide that goes deeper into the world and your class. It's also a great resource if you're looking to learn more about specific monsters or recipes for crafting. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you all so much for watching, and may your travels be filled with adventure, my friend.